Welcome to the Body Science Podcast. Today we're diving deep into something really interesting, a strategy called lean mass up. It's all about building muscle effectively, getting stronger, more defined, but without piling on a load of extra body fat.
That's right. It's becoming super popular, and for good reason. It feels like a smarter way to gain muscle, especially, if you're training naturally, maybe just starting out.
So we're going to unpack what lean mass up actually is, how it stacks up against, say, traditional bulking.
Yeah, like clean bulks, dirty bulks, those kinds of
Yeah,
things.
exactly. And why it might be a really good fit for beginners. We'll get into the science behind it, what makes it tick.
And then the really practical stuff, how you actually set up your diet, your training, even recovery. We want to give you the full picture.
The what, the why, and the how.
Precisely. It's about making deliberate changes to your body composition, not just seeing the scale go up, but making sure that gain is quality muscle while keeping fat gain really minimal or even reducing it.
Okay, so lean mass up. The name itself is pretty descriptive, isn't it? Lean plus mass up.
It really is. Lean mass up is exactly that, a plan focused on increasing your body mass, but specifically your lean body mass.
So more muscle.
Exactly, more muscle, while crucially keeping your body fat percentage steady, or possibly even letting it drift down a bit. The end game is that toned, defined look. You get there by selectively adding muscle, not just overall weight.
So it's a shift away from just chasing a number on the scale. It's about what makes up that number.
Absolutely. The focus shifts entirely to changing your body composition, improving that muscle-to-fat ratio. And look, this doesn't happen by accident or just by, eating loads more food.
Right.
The core strategy really zeroes in on the quality of the food you're eating and how you're eating it, not just the raw number of calories.
It sounds much more controlled, precise, maybe, compared to just going on a bulk.
It definitely is. It requires a thought-out, planned approach. You're aiming for steady, gradual progress. You want muscle gain, sure, but you're constantly managing things to prevent that unwanted fat creep.
So patience is key.
Hugely. It's a long-term strategy. It's about efficiency, sustainable changes. You're not chasing those super fast, drastic weight jumps because, honestly, those almost always come with a significant side of fat gain.
Okay, that flows perfectly into comparing it with bulking, because that's where the lines can get a bit blurry for people.
Yeah.
How does lean mass up really differ from a clean bulk or, the infamous dirty bulk?
Yeah, this comparison is fundamental. Traditional bulking, generally speaking, accepts gaining both muscle and fat. It's kind of like, okay, I'll gain some fat now to maximize muscle growth, and then I'll deal with the fat later in a cutting phase.
A necessary evil, maybe, in that approach?
Sort of. And within bulking, you've got these main flavors.
Clean bulk and dirty bulk.
Right. So clean bulk is the more measured version. You create a calorie surplus, definitely, but it's controlled. You're aiming for maybe 10–20% above your maintenance calories.
So what's that, like 350 to 500 extra calories a day, roughly?
Yeah, around that range. And importantly, those extra calories are coming from healthy, balanced foods, whole foods, nutrient-dense stuff, unprocessed ideally.
Quality fuel for building muscle, trying to minimize the collateral damage of fat gain.
That's a good way to put it. The plus side is you limit excessive fat gain much better than other methods, and you get all the health benefits of eating well. The downside, well, muscle gain might feel slower compared to a dirty bulk, and it takes real consistency, planning your meals, sticking to targets.
And then the dirty bulk. The name itself suggests less precision.
Yeah, you could say that. It's pretty much what it sounds like. A dirty bulk means a really high calorie intake, often with very little thought given to where those calories come from.
So pizza, ice cream, whatever it takes to get the calories in.
Often, yeah. Junk food, sugary drinks, processed stuff. It's all fair game. The main goal is just packing in calories to gain weight fast, hoping some of it sticks as muscle.
Fast, maybe, but sounds like a recipe for, well, a mess.
It can be very messy.
Yeah.
The supposed advantage is total dietary freedom, right?
Right.
Eat whatever.
Yeah.
And you can gain weight quickly. But the downsides are pretty serious.
Uh-huh.
Like a very high risk of putting on excessive body fat.
Yeah.
Fat that's then really hard and demoralizing to lose.
Right.
Plus digestive issues, feeling sluggish, tired, and the potential long-term health stuff. Poor blood sugar control, bad cholesterol levels, things like that.
Okay, so let's pin down the direct comparison. Lean mass up versus clean bulk versus dirty bulk. Key differences.
All right, number one, the calorie strategy. Lean mass up uses a noticeably smaller calorie surplus than a dirty bulk, obviously. But often it's even a bit tighter, a bit more conservative than a standard clean bulk.
We're talking maybe 300, 500 calories of maintenance, or like 10, 15%.
Exactly. That 10–15% range is a good general guide. It shifts the focus from just how much you eat to what you eat, when you eat it, and really importantly, how your body actually uses those nutrients.
And the goal for body fat. That's really the defining characteristic of lean mass up, isn't it?
It absolutely is.
Hmm.
This is where it truly stands out. A dirty bulk even expects significant fat gain. A clean bulk aims to limit fat gain, maybe accepting a little. Lean mass up actively tries to minimize fat gain, or ideally, even see a gradual decrease in body fat percentage while the muscle mass climbs.
So it's aiming for body recomposition almost, gaining muscle and losing fat, or at least maintaining fat levels.
Yes, that's a great way to think about it. Simultaneous body recomposition. It's
Right.
trying to avoid that whole sequential bulk then cut cycle.
So just to clarify the nuance between clean bulk and lean mass up, they sound similar: controlled surplus, healthy food.
They are very similar in principle. Both prioritize healthy foods and controlled surpluses to minimize fat gain. But lean mass up puts a stronger, more explicit emphasis on maintaining or decreasing body fat.
Whereas a clean bulk might be okay with a slight increase in fat, as long as muscle is going up. Like that 0.25, 0.5% weekly weight gain target might include a bit of fat.
Precisely. Lean mass up is like a stricter subset of clean bulking. The mandate is really tight, minimal fat increase, ideally fat maintenance, or even a slow drop.
It sounds like lean mass up is trying to bypass the whole cutting phase ordeal.
That's a major potential benefit. Because you've controlled fat gain so well from the beginning, the need for a long, grueling cut afterwards is often drastically reduced, maybe even eliminated entirely.
Instead of facing, 12, 16 weeks of dieting after a traditional bulk?
Right. With lean mass up, you might just need a short maintenance phase or a tiny deficit to really show off the muscle you've built. There's just much less fluff to remove.
And think about long-term health, sustainability.
Lean mass up shines there too. The focus on whole foods, gradual progress, it builds healthy habits that stick. It's generally less stressful physically and mentally than the big swings of aggressive bulking and cutting. Dirty bulking obviously has health risks. Clean bulking is healthier,
Yeah.
but still involves that fat gain loss cycle.
So with that focus on lean gains, healthy habits, why is lean mass up often pointed to as particularly good for natural beginners, people just starting out?
Several really strong reasons. First off, it taps into something called newbie gains perfectly.
Ah, yes. The legendary newbie gains. What's actually going on there, and how does lean mass up leverage that?
So newbie gains is that amazing phase when a beginner's body is just incredibly responsive to weight training. When you first start lifting consistently, your muscles adapt super quickly.
You can build muscle and lose fat at the same time, right?
Often, yes. Even while eating slightly above maintenance calories, your body composition can improve dramatically. Some sources say this rapid muscle building potential is really high in the first few months, maybe even noticeable changes within the first 6 weeks for some.
6 weeks? That's gotta be motivating.
Hugely motivating. It's like a physiological honeymoon period. And lean mass up's goal, build muscle, minimize fat, aligns perfectly with this. You give the body the right training stimulus, the right clean fuel from the lean mass up diet. You're essentially amplifying that natural advantage, directing that growth signal towards lean tissue.
Makes sense. What else makes it good for beginners?
Well, second, it helps build sustainable habits right from the start. It naturally steers you towards nutrient-dense foods, gets you into the rhythm of consistent exercise.
Unlike maybe a dirty bulk than a harsh cut, which feels less sustainable.
Exactly. This balanced approach avoids those extremes. Less chance of feeling deprived or overwhelmed, which means you're more likely to stick with it long enough to see real results. It helps avoid that common beginner drop-off.
Habit formation is huge for sticking with fitness long term.
It really is. Third point, psychological satisfaction. By keeping fat gain under control, lean mass up feels really rewarding.
You mean avoiding the discouragement of getting stronger but also looking puffier?
Precisely. Gaining significant fat during a traditional bulk can be really disheartening, especially when you're working hard. And then dreading the long cut afterwards. That kills motivation. With lean mass up, you see yourself getting stronger and leaner. That's powerful, positive reinforcement. It keeps you going.
Seeing those visual changes without the downside must be a big mental boost.
Massive difference. And finally, lean mass up encourages a focus on good form and performance quality.
How so?
Rapid weight gain from aggressive bulking can put extra stress on joints, making it harder to maintain good technique. With the gradual changes in lean mass up, beginners can really focus on learning and mastering the fundamental exercises correctly and safely. Building that solid technical base is crucial for avoiding injury and making long-term progress. You can't build muscle effectively if you're always getting hurt.
Okay, so lean mass up sounds great for beginners. But how do you know if you're ready to start? Is there like a readiness checklist?
Absolutely. Thinking through a few things beforehand really sets you up for success. And the number one thing, the most critical starting point, is your current body fat percentage,
Why is body fat the first thing to look at?
because it has a massive impact on how your body handles the food you eat. It affects something called nutrient partitioning and also insulin sensitivity. These are key concepts.
And there are optimal ranges to start lean mass up.
Generally, yes. The recommendations usually fall around 10–15% body fat for men and maybe 16–22% for women. Some sources might even suggest slightly tighter ranges,
Yeah.
like 13–15% for men, or talk about specific amounts of fat mass in kilograms that line up with these percentages.
What if someone's well above those numbers? Should they still jump into lean mass up?
The general advice is no. If your body fat is significantly higher, it's usually recommended to do a cutting phase first. Get your body fat down closer to those optimal starting zones before you introduce a calorie surplus aimed at lean gain.
And that's not just about looks, right? It's about how the body works.
Totally physiological. It comes back to nutrient partitioning. Think of it as your body's internal traffic director for calories and nutrients. Does this fuel get sent to muscle for building and repair, or does it get routed to fat storage?
And having higher body fat messes with that system, makes it less likely calories go to muscle.
Exactly. When you start with higher body fat, your body is sort of primed to store more fat. Any extra calories you eat in a surplus are more likely to end up as additional fat, rather than being efficiently used for muscle building. One source put it bluntly, the higher the body fat percentage, the more likely it is to go to fat, and the lower the body fat percentage, the more likely it is to go to muscle.
So starting leaner creates a better environment for building muscle.
A much better, more efficient environment. And this ties directly into insulin sensitivity too. Higher body fat levels are often linked to insulin resistance.
Insulin. That's the hormone that helps shuttle nutrients into cells, like muscle cells.
That's the one. Insulin helps move glucose and amino acids from your blood into your cells for energy or building. It's also anabolic itself, helps stimulate muscle protein synthesis. But if your cells are resistant to insulin, they don't respond well to its signal.
Meaning the nutrients don't get into the muscle cells easily.
Right. Muscle cells become less efficient at uptake, and where do those nutrients often end up instead? Stored in fat cells. So starting lean mass up leaner usually means you have better insulin sensitivity. Your muscle cells are ready and waiting to soak up those nutrients, making the whole process much more effective. Cutting first, if needed, isn't a setback. It's a strategic setup for better results later.
Okay, check body fat first. Got it. What else is on this pre-flight checklist?
Next, you need a decent estimate of your BMR basal metabolic rate and your TDEE, total daily energy expenditure.
BMR is baseline calorie burn at rest. TDEE includes activity.
Exactly. BMR is just keeping the lights on. TDEE adds in everything else, move around, exercise, even digesting food. Knowing these gives you your starting point for setting calorie goals.
How do you figure those out? Online calculators?
Online calculators using formulas like Harris-Benedict or Mifflin-St. Jean are common starting points. They use your sex, age, height, weight. Body composition analyzers might give estimates too, but, and this is crucial, they're just estimates, educated guesses.
So you can't just plug in numbers and forget it.
Absolutely not. You have to treat it as a starting point, then monitor how your body actually responds over weeks and adjust your intake based on real-world results. Tracking is key.
Okay, body fat checked. Calorie baseline estimated. What about actual training readiness?
Good point. You need to be honest about your training experience and consistency. Lean mass up relies on consistent resistance training. That's the stimulus.
So you need to know how to perform basic exercises correctly and actually stick to a routine.
Yes. Can you perform key lifts like squats, presses, rows with decent form? Can you realistically commit to training, say, 3 or more times per week, consistently? If you're a complete newbie, maybe the first goal isn't even lean mass up yet, but just building the habit of training consistently for a few months, learning the movements, that foundation is vital.
And what about the mental side, getting your head in the game?
Super important and often skipped over. You need to understand, lean mass up is a long game. It takes patience. It takes consistency over months, maybe years. It's not a quick transformation hack.
So managing expectations.
Exactly. You need to embrace the process, enjoy getting stronger, eating healthier, seeing gradual changes. Don't get fixated on rapid scale jumps. That leads to frustration and quitting.
Right. So checklist. Good starting body fat, baseline calorie needs estimated, consistent training habits established, and mentally prepped for a steady journey.
Okay, let's get into the science. How does the body actually build muscle? How does lean mass up tap into that? Okay, so at the very base level, it's about energy balance. Calories in versus calories out. We know this determines weight change.
More calories in than out, you gain weight. Less in than out, you lose. Equal, you maintain. Basic stuff.
Basic but fundamental. Now, building muscle, that's an anabolic process. It requires energy. It takes resources to construct new tissue. So to increase muscle mass, you must be in a positive energy balance. You need a calorie surplus.
The sources back this up.
Yeah, they emphasize things like, you won't see a physical difference unless you consume enough calories, and calories are essential for muscle growth. No way around needing that surplus.
But we keep saying lean mass up uses a slight controlled surplus. If more calories build muscle, why not just go for a massive surplus and build muscle faster?
Because there's a limit. While a surplus is necessary, a huge surplus doesn't magically translate into proportionally faster muscle gain, especially not naturally. Your body has a maximum rate at which it can synthesize new muscle tissue at any given time.
There's a ceiling on how fast the building can happen.
Exactly. Any calories you eat significantly beyond what's needed to fuel your training, support recovery, and drive that maximal natural rate of muscle building. Those extra calories have to go somewhere. And the easiest place for your body to store them is usually as fat, especially if your nutrient partitioning isn't optimal.
So the lean mass up surplus is about finding that sweet spot, enough fuel for maximum muscle building, but not so much that it spills over into excessive fat.
Precisely. It's about precision fueling, providing just enough energy and building blocks to support the natural muscle growth process efficiently, without overwhelming the system and causing significant fat storage. It's quality over just quantity of surplus.
Okay, you need the energy surplus, but you also need the actual building blocks. How does the body take those and assemble them into muscle?
That leads us right into muscle protein synthesis, MPS, and muscle protein breakdown, MPB. Your muscle tissue isn't static. It's constantly turning over, being built up and broken down simultaneously.
Like a constant renovation project.
That's a great way to picture it. MPS is the building part. Your body takes amino acids, which come from the protein you eat, and links them together to create new muscle proteins. MPB is the tearing down part, where existing muscle proteins are broken down into amino acids, perhaps for energy or recycling.
And muscle growth happens when the building rate is higher than the breakdown rate.
Exactly. It all comes down to the net protein balance.
Okay.
That's simply MPS minus MPB. If MPS is greater than MPB, you've got a positive balance, and muscles grow. That's hypertrophy. If MPB is greater than MPS, negative balance, you lose muscle atrophy. If they're equal, you maintain.
So the whole scientific goal of lean mass up is to keep that net protein balance consistently positive.
That's the core mechanism. And you tip that balance primarily through two key inputs. One, proper nutrition, especially getting enough protein to supply those amino acid building blocks.
Providing the raw materials.
Right. And two, resistance training. Lifting weights provides the critical signal, the switch, that tells your muscles to ramp up MPS significantly. Training causes microdamage, and your body responds by repairing and rebuilding bigger and stronger if it has the resources and the right environment.
Beyond just energy and protein, are there internal signals like hormones that control this whole process?
Oh, absolutely. Hormones are like the project managers for muscle growth. It's a complex interplay. A natural lean mass up approach aims to optimize these hormonal signals naturally through your lifestyle choices.
Which hormones are the big players here for building muscle?
Testosterone is a major one. It's the primary male sex hormone, but it's also crucial in smaller amounts for women. It's strongly anabolic, meaning it directly promotes muscle protein synthesis. Helps with strength, too.
And can training influence testosterone levels?
Yes, certain types of training, especially heavy multi-joint compound exercises, think squats, deadlifts, bench presses, seem to provide a stimulus for its natural release. Then you have growth hormone, GH, and IGF-1, insulin-like growth factor 1. GH comes from the pituitary gland, and it tells the liver to produce IGF-1. IGF-1 is really potent. It directly encourages muscle cells to grow and multiply.
How can you naturally boost GH and IGF-1?
High-intensity exercise can stimulate GH release. Getting enough quality sleep is also critical. GH release peaks during deep sleep. Interestingly, even moderate cardio seems to help maintain a healthy hormonal environment, possibly by managing how testosterone converts to other hormones and supporting IGF-1.
Are there hormones that work against muscle growth, ones we want to manage?
Yes, the main one is cortisol. It's the classic stress hormone.
Yeah.
While we need some cortisol, chronic stress and persistently high levels have a catabolic effect. They promote muscle breakdown. This works directly against your MPS efforts.
So managing stress is actually part of the muscle building equation.
It really is.
Yeah.
Often overlooked, but vital for creating that favorable hormonal environment. And insulin, as we talked about for sensitivity, also plays an anabolic role, helping with nutrient delivery and MPS.
So optimizing these natural hormone levels through training, diet, sleep, stress management, that's part of the science.
A huge part. It underpins that classic advice: train hard, eat right, sleep well. Those actions create the physiological conditions where muscle growth is more likely to happen.
Let's loop back to nutrient partitioning. We know starting body fat matters, but how else does this traffic control system decide where calories go? Can we influence it more?
Right. Nutrient partitioning. That crucial process deciding if the calories you just ate will be burned for energy right away,
Yeah.
sent to muscle for repair and growth, or tucked away as body fat. It's fundamentally asking, where does your food go once it's inside you?
So besides body fat percentage and insulin sensitivity, what else pulls the levers on partitioning?
Well, exercise itself is a massive factor. Resistance training creates a strong pull signal from the muscles. After a workout, your muscles are way more receptive to taking up nutrients like glucose and amino acids. Training also directly improves insulin sensitivity in the muscle cells themselves.
So training helps direct the traffic towards muscle.
Definitely. Your overall hormonal state, which we just discussed, the balance of hormones like testosterone and cortisol, also influences partitioning. And then there are genetics, of course. Some people just seem naturally better at sending nutrients towards muscle versus fat.
You mentioned vitamin D briefly earlier. Any more on that potential link?
Yeah, it's interesting preliminary stuff. Some research hints that higher levels of vitamin D might help by potentially lowering myostatin. That's a protein that actually inhibits muscle growth, and maybe improving sensitivity to leptin, a hormone involved in energy balance. The idea is it could subtly nudge calorie partitioning more towards muscle. Still early days, not a magic fix, but it shows how complex these interactions are.
So the whole lean mass up strategy isn't just eat a bit more. It's about creating conditions where your body is primed to use that extra energy for muscle specifically.
That's the essence of it. If your partitioning is inefficient, maybe due to high body fat or poor insulin sensitivity, you could eat a surplus, lift weights, but still find a lot of those calories ending up as fat. It's about optimizing the internal delivery system, not just adding more fuel to the tank indiscriminately.
And insulin sensitivity feels absolutely central to that delivery system, especially for getting the goods into the muscle cells. Can we just clarify that mechanism once more?
For sure. Insulin, made by the pancreas, is like the key that unlocks the doors on your cells, allowing glucose and amino acids to enter from your bloodstream. Once inside, they're used for energy, stored like glycogen in muscle, or used for building like muscle protein. Insulin itself also directly helps stimulate MPS.
So if your cells are highly sensitive to insulin, they open the door easily when insulin knocks.
Exactly. High sensitivity means your cells, especially muscle cells, respond really well, even to small amounts of insulin. Nutrients get whisked into the muscle efficiently. This is perfect for muscle growth. Glucose replenishes glycogen stores, amino acids fuel repair and synthesis. One source mentioned that improving sensitivity, maybe through regular exercise, including cardio, might even help break through muscle growth plateaus because the muscles stay receptive to nutrient delivery.
And the opposite, low sensitivity or insulin resistance, the door is kind of stuck.
Pretty much. The cells need a much louder knock, much more insulin to get the same response. Muscle cells become sluggish at taking up nutrients. Meanwhile, fat cells often stay quite responsive, so nutrients bypass the muscle and get easily stored as fat. It also messes with blood sugar control and increases risks for things like type 2 diabetes. For lean mass up, it's a disaster. Your surplus calories fuel fat gain instead of muscle gain.
Maintaining good insulin sensitivity is therefore critical for the process to work as intended. How do you improve or maintain it naturally?
Lifestyle is king here. Regular exercise is probably the most potent tool, both lifting weights and cardio, dramatically improve muscle insulin sensitivity. Keeping a healthy weight, especially reducing belly fat, makes a big difference. Sleep is non-negotiable. Poor sleep tanks sensitivity quickly. Managing chronic stress is important too because of that cortisol link.
What about diet?
Diet is huge. Eating enough fiber, especially soluble fiber from things like oats, beans, lentils, helps slow digestion and improve sensitivity. Limiting refined carbs and added sugars is key. Focusing instead on complex carbs like whole grains and vegetables gives you slower, steadier blood sugar responses. Some studies also look at potential benefits from things like chromium, magnesium, cinnamon, turmeric, but these are helpers, not the foundation. Diet and exercise are the pillars.
It really sounds like good insulin sensitivity is just good health, period, not just for building muscle.
Absolutely. It's a cornerstone of metabolic health, and the lean mass up approach naturally promotes it. And interestingly, new research suggests our individual gut bacteria and genetics might even influence how we respond to different foods regarding insulin, hinting at more personalized approaches down the line.
Okay, we've got the theory, the science. Let's shift gears fully into the practical side. How do you actually do lean mass up? Starting with setting those calories.
Right. Step one is nailing down your calorie target. And remember, this is an ongoing adjustment process, not a one-time calculation. You start by estimating your maintenance calories, your TDEE.
Quick refresher on how we estimate TDEE.
You start with your BMR estimate using those formulas like Harris-Benedict or Mifflin-St. Cyr in an online calculator. That gives you your baseline burn. Then you multiply that BMR by an activity factor. This accounts for your daily movement and planned exercise.
Like 1.2 for sedentary, maybe 1.55 if you exercise moderately 3 times a week.
Exactly, those kinds of multipliers. Some body composition tools might give you a TDE estimate too, but always remember,
They're just starting points.
they're educated guesses. Your real needs might vary. You must track your progress and adjust based on what actually happens with your body.
So once you have that estimated TDEE, how much extra do you add for lean mass up?
This is where the lean part comes in. You need a surplus, but a controlled one. The general target is around 300 to 500 kilocalories per day above that estimated TDEE.
Which often works out to about 10–15% over maintenance.
Yeah, that 10–15% is a good ballpark. Beginners might tolerate a slightly higher end, maybe up to 20%, but staying tighter helps minimize fat gain. Some practical starting points are just adding 250–500 kilocalories for men, maybe 200–400 kilocalories for women. Or even start super conservatively, add just 200 kilocalories, and monitor really closely for the first couple of weeks.
The key phrase seems to be slightly more eating, not eat everything.
Absolutely. You have to be mindful. It's easy to overshoot if you're not tracking or paying attention, and then you drift away from lean mass up and into unwanted fat gain territory.
Okay, so you set the initial target, then comes the monitoring and adjusting. How often, what are you tracking?
This is probably the most crucial skill to develop. Monitor your weight weekly, same day, same time, same conditions, like first thing in the morning. Look at the trend over several weeks, not daily blips.
But weight isn't the whole story for lean mass up, right?
Not at all. Even more important is observing body composition changes. How do you look in the mirror? How do your clothes fit? Take progress pictures regularly under consistent lighting. Measurements, waist, hips, chest, arms can be really insightful. If you have access, periodic body composition scans can add data, but visual and measurement tracking is usually sufficient.
What's a realistic rate of weight gain per week if you're truly gaining mostly lean mass?
It's slower than most people think. For natural lifters really focused on lean gain, you're probably looking at about 0.25% to 0.5% of your current body weight per week.
So for someone around 150, 160 pounds, that's like less than a pound a week, maybe half a pound or a bit more.
Exactly. Maybe 0.4 to 0.8 pounds per week. If you're consistently gaining much faster than that, it's almost guaranteed that a good chunk of it is fat, not muscle.
What if the scale isn't moving up or progress feels stalled?
If the weight trend is flat over, say, 2 or 3 weeks and your performance isn't improving, you likely need a small bump in calories. Try adding another 100–200 kilocalories per day. Give it another week or two to see the effect before adjusting again. Make gradual changes.
And if you're gaining too fast or notice your waistline expanding,
Then you need to dial it back slightly. Decrease your intake, maybe by 5–10% of your current total calories, and see if that slows the rate of gain to that target zone.
it really sounds like being a detective for your own body, constant calibration.
It is. Patience and honest self-assessment are key. Everyone responds a bit differently. Your 300 kilocal surplus might be someone else's 400 or 200. You have to find what works for you.
Okay, calorie target set and adjusted. Now inside those calories, the macros. Protein, carbs, fat. Is there a golden ratio for lean mass up?
Ah, the macros. Balancing these within your calorie goal is super important for optimizing everything: fueling workouts, building muscle, managing fat storage. Each one has a critical job.
Let's start with the star player for muscle. Protein, role, amount.
Protein provides the actual amino acid building blocks for new muscle tissue. It's essential for repairing the damage from training and driving muscle protein synthesis. It also helps with satiety, feeling full, which can indirectly help manage overall calories. For natural lifters aiming for muscle growth, the sweet spot seems to be around 1.6 to 2.2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight per day.
So for a 70-kilogram person, that's about 112 to 154 grams daily.
Yep, right in that range.
Yeah.
Some guidelines suggest aiming for 2 kilograms or maybe getting 25–30% of your total calories from protein. You need enough, but megadosing probably doesn't add extra benefit past that 2.2 kilograms mark. Interestingly, experienced lifters might get more efficient at using protein, so needs don't necessarily skyrocket forever.
And quality matters. Getting all the essential amino acids.
Hugely important. You want high-quality sources that provide all the essential amino acids, especially leucine, which is a major trigger for MPS. Think lean meats, chicken, turkey, lean beef, pork, fish, eggs, dairy, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, whey protein. Plant-based folks need to be smart about combining sources like beans and rice, or using complete sources like tofu, tempeh, edamame.
Okay, next up. Carbohydrates. Energy source, right?
Primary energy source, especially for the kind of intense bursts needed in strength training. Carbs fuel your workouts, but just as vital, they replenish muscle glycogen stores afterwards. Full glycogen stores mean better recovery and performance in your next session. Plus, adequate carbs spare protein. They stop your body from burning protein for energy, letting it focus on building muscle.
How many carbs, typically, and what kind are best for lean mass up?
Carbs usually make up the biggest slice of the calorie pie, maybe 40–50% of total intake. But the type is crucial for managing blood sugar and insulin, which impacts fat storage. You want to prioritize complex, low glycemic index GI carbs.
Things like brown rice, oats, sweet potatoes, veggies.
Exactly. Whole grains, oats, quinoa, brown rice, whole wheat stuff, starchy veggies, sweet potatoes, regular potatoes, squash, and tons of fibrous vegetables. These digest slower, provide sustained energy, and cause a gentler rise in blood sugar and insulin, less likely to promote fat storage.
So limit the sugary stuff and refined carbs. White bread, candy, soda.
Definitely limit those. White rice, white bread, sugary cereals, candy, pastries, sugary drinks, they cause rapid blood sugar spikes. While a small amount strategically timed right after a workout can help with rapid glycogen refill and an insulin spike to drive nutrients into muscle, relying on them heavily throughout the day can mess with insulin sensitivity and make fat storage easier.
Got it. Lastly, fat. Often demonized, but essential, right? Especially for hormones.
Absolutely essential. Dietary fat provides energy. It's part of every cell membrane. It helps you absorb certain vitamins, A, D, E, K, and crucially, it's the raw material for producing hormones, including vital anabolic ones like testosterone. You can't build muscle optimally without adequate healthy fat intake.
How much fat and what are the good sources?
Fat usually fills the remaining calorie budget, typically 20–30% of total daily calories. The focus should be squarely on healthy, unsaturated fats.
Like olive oil, avocados, nuts, seeds.
Perfect examples: extra virgin olive oil, avocado oil, nuts, almonds, walnuts, seeds, chia, flax. Sunflower watch portions are calorie-dense, avocados themselves, and fatty fluid like salmon, mackerel, sardines for those amazing omega-3s.
And fats to minimize or avoid.
Avoid artificial trans fats like the plague check labels on processed foods, margarines. Limit excessive saturated fat from super fatty meats, butter, fried foods, processed meats like sausages and bacon. They're less beneficial for body composition and not great for heart health in large amounts. So typical starting macro splits might be something like 40% carbs, 40% protein, 20% fat, or maybe 50% carbs, 30% protein, 20% fat. Another way is calculate protein based on body weight, say 2 kilograms set fat at 25% of calories, and let carbs fill the rest.
And again, these are starting points to be tweaked based on how you feel and respond.
100%. Some people thrive on slightly higher carbs, some feel better with a bit more fat. As long as you're hitting your total calorie goal and your protein target consistently, you can adjust the carb-fat ratio to find what supports your energy, performance, and lean gains best.
Okay, let's make this even more concrete. Designing the actual daily diet. What does a lean mass up plate look like? What foods are staples?
The foundation is clean eating, focusing on whole foods, minimally processed, nutrient-dense choices. This naturally cuts down on junk-added sugars, unhealthy fats, weird additives, and ensures you're getting quality fuel, plus all the vitamins and minerals needed for growth and health. Remember, for lean mass up, what you eat is arguably more critical than just the sheer number of calories.
So, stocking the kitchen, what are the must-haves?
For protein, lean chicken breast eyes, turkey, lean beef cuts, lean pork, lots of fish, salmon, tuna, cod, shrimp. Eggs are fantastic. If you do dairy, unsweetened Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, plant sources, beans, lentils, chickpeas, tofu, tempeh, edamame. For carbs, brown rice, oats, quinoa, whole wheat pasta bread, sweet potatoes, squash, and load up on veggies, broccoli, spinach, peppers, kale, green beans, asparagus. Variety is key for micronutrients and fiber. Fruits like berries, apples, bananas are great too. Just be mindful of total sugar intake.
And healthy fats.
Good oils like extra virgin olive oil, avocado oil, nuts and seeds for snacks, or additions, almonds, walnuts, chia, flax, avocados, and definitely fatty fish a couple of times a week for omega-3s.
Now, what's on the limit or avoid list for someone serious about lean mass up?
This requires discipline. You really want to minimize ultra-processed foods and junk. Most packaged cookies, candied chips, ice cream pastries, typical fast food, burgers, fries, pizza, frozen processed meals, instant ramen. They're calorie-dense but nutrient-poor. High in sugar, bad fats, sodium. Total opposite of what you want.
And the refined carbs and simple sugars we talked about.
Yeah, limit those outside the immediate post-workout window. White bread, white rice in large amounts, sugary cereals, syrups, candied, especially sugary drinks, soda, sweetened juices, most sports drinks. They just spike blood sugar too quickly and promote fat storage.
What about fatty meats or fried stuff?
Limit very fatty cuts of meat, excessive butter, margarine, deep-fried foods, processed meats like bacon and sausage. They're high in saturated or unhealthy fats and don't offer much nutritionally. And alcohol really needs to be limited or avoided. Empty calories, hinders muscle repair, messes with sleep, promotes fat storage. Not helpful.
Does when you eat matter as much as what you eat? Meal timing.
It's probably less critical than hitting your total daily calories and macros consistently, but smart timing can offer some benefits. Eating regular meals, maybe 3 main meals plus 1-3 snacks, for 3-6 total eating occasions can help keep blood sugar stable and provide a steadier stream of amino acids for MPS throughout the day.
Anything specific around workouts, pre- and post-workout nutrition?
Yeah, that's where timing seems most beneficial. About 1-2 hours before training, having some easily digestible carbs and protein can be good. Think oatmeal with protein powder or a banana and some Greek yogurt. Fuels the workout, provides amino acids. Then after the workout, that anabolic window, maybe 30 minutes to 2 hours post-training, is a good time to get in protein and carbs to kickstart recovery and maximize MPS. Fast-digesting protein like whey, paired with carbs to replenish glycogen and spike insulin slightly to help shuttle nutrients into muscle.
Like chicken and sweet potato, or a protein shake with a banana.
Perfect examples. Salmon and brown rice works too. Combining quality protein and carbs post-workout is a solid strategy.
And hydration, often forgotten, but vital.
Absolutely critical. Yeah. Water is involved in everything. Metabolism, nutrient transport, temperature control, performance recovery. Dehydration tanks performance and hinders muscle growth. Aim for at least 2 liters a day, probably more if you're active or it's hot. Drink consistently. Don't wait till you're parched.
Okay, diet locked in. Clean foods, right? Macros, smart timing, hydrated. What about the other half, training? How do you structure workouts to maximize muscle growth for lean mass up?
Training provides the reason for your muscles to grow. The diet provides the resources, but the training provides the signal. And the absolute cornerstone principle for muscle growth is progressive overload.
Progressive overload, meaning you have to keep challenging the muscles more over time.
Exactly. Muscles adapt. If you keep lifting the same weight for the same reps forever, they have no reason to get bigger or stronger. You have to systematically increase the demand.
How do you do that? Lift heavier.
Lifting heavier weight is one way, but you can also do more reps with the same weight, or do more sets, or train a muscle group more frequently, or even decrease rest times between sets to increase density. The point is, the stimulus needs to progress over time.
What kind of exercises should form the core of a lean mass up program?
Focus heavily on compound exercises. These are the big lists that use multiple joints and muscle groups at once.
Squats, deadlifts, bench press, overhead press, rows, pull-ups. Those guys.
Those are the main ones. They're incredibly efficient. You can move significant weight. You stimulate a lot of muscle mass simultaneously, and they seem to have a greater impact on triggering systemic anabolic hormone release compared to isolation exercises. One source really highlighted pull-ups for upper body mass. Beginners especially should build their entire program around getting strong on these fundamental compound lifts.
And getting the form right is crucial from day one.
Non-negotiable. Proper form ensures you're hitting the target muscles effectively and, most importantly, preventing injuries. Getting injured is the fastest way to kill progress. While isolation exercises like curls or extensions have their place later for targeting specific muscles, mastering compound lift form and progressively overloading them is priority number one.
How many days a week should someone be strength training for lean mass up?
Typically, 3 to 5 sessions per week works well. Beginners often start well with 3 full-body workouts per week. Hitting muscles frequently helps learn movements and build adaptation. As you get more experienced, you might move to splits like an upper-lower split 4 days a week or a push-pull leg split 3 or 5 times a week. The key is consistency and having a structured plan. Remember that point about beginners having high synthesis potential? Consistent training capitalizes on that.
We've hammered strength training. But cardio, does it fit in? Seems counterintuitive if the goal is gaining mass.
It can feel that way. But yes, strategic cardio definitely has a place and offers real benefits in a lean mass-up plan, provided it's done smartly.
How can cardio possibly help build muscle?
Okay, several ways. First, it helps manage fat gain. Burning some extra calories makes it easier to stay in that slight surplus without spilling over into significant fat storage. Second, it improves your cardiovascular health and endurance. Better cardio fitness can actually help your lifting tendology. You might recover faster between sets or handle more volume.
Makes sense. Better engine helps the whole machine work.
Right. It also improves blood circulation, potentially helping deliver nutrients to muscles and clear out waste products, leading recovery. And as we discussed, cardio is great for improving insulin sensitivity, helping those nutrients get used effectively by muscle.
So we're not talking hours on the treadmill every day.
Definitely not. Too much cardio can interfere. It burns calories needed for growth, can impair recovery from lifting, and might even lead to muscle loss if you overdo it. The key is moderation and prioritizing strength training.
What's a reasonable amount?
Generally 2-3 times per week, maybe 20-30 minutes per session at a light to moderate intensity. Think brisk walking, steady cycling, maybe incline walking. If someone starts with slightly higher body fat, maybe 1-2 short HI8 sessions initially could help fat loss, but carefully managed. Rule of thumb, lifting comes first, cardio supports. Aim for that moderate intensity, like 60-70% max heart rate, to preferentially burn fat and spare muscle glycogen.
Okay, nutrition covered, training covered. What's the third leg of that tripod you mentioned?
The absolutely critical, often undervalued third pillar, sufficient rest and recovery. You simply cannot grow optimally without it. Muscle growth happens between workouts, not during them.
Training stimulates, rest builds.
Precisely. Training creates micro-damage. Rest, fueled by good nutrition, is when your body repairs that damage and rebuilds the muscles slightly bigger and stronger. That's supercompensation.
So sleep is king here.
Sleep is arguably the single most important recovery tool. That's when your body does the heavy lifting of repair. Growth hormone release peaks during deep sleep, driving MPS. And for 7 hours minimum, ideally 8 to 9 hours of quality sleep per night. We already mentioned how poor sleep hurts insulin sensitivity. It directly undermines your growth efforts.
What about actual days off from the gym?
Essential. Muscles need time to recover fully after being stressed. Heavy compound lifting on large muscle groups might need 48 hours or even more. Smaller muscles might recover faster. Using training splits helps manage this, but taking 1-2 complete rest days per week is also crucial for systemic recovery, nervous system, joints, everything.
And stress management ties in again.
Absolutely. Chronic stress equals high cortisol. High cortisol equals muscle breakdown and interference with growth. Finding ways to manage stress, relaxation, hobbies, enough downtime helps keep cortisol in check and maintains a more anabolic state.
Anything else for recovery? Active recovery?
Yeah, light activity on rest days can be beneficial. Things like a walk, gentle stretching, foam rolling. It increases blood flow, might help ease soreness, donk bombs, and promotes recovery without adding significant stress or calorie burn.
So it really is a three-legged stool. Nutrition, training, rest, all equally vital.
Totally interconnected. Train hard to signal growth. Eat right to provide the materials and energy. Rest well so the building can actually happen. Neglect any one pillar and the whole thing becomes unstable. You can't out-train bad nutrition. You can't out-eat terrible sleep. It demands balance and consistency across all three.
Okay, foundation, science, practical steps, covered. Let's talk realistic expectations and potential hurdles, especially for natural folks doing lean mass up. What kind of muscle growth rates are actually realistic, naturally?
This is so important for staying motivated. Natural muscle growth, especially when minimizing fat gain, is slow. It demands patience. Based on models from knowledgeable coaches, the rate drops off significantly as you gain training experience.
What do those models suggest?
For a true beginner, First year of proper training, maybe around 9-11 kilograms, that's roughly 20-25 pounds of muscle gain in that whole year.
Yeah.
Average that out, it's maybe 0.81 kilograms or 1.7, 2.2 pounds per month. Or think about total weight gain of 1.5% of body weight per month, mostly lean.
Wow, so maybe half a pound of actual muscle per week average in year one? That's not the instant transformation some expect?
Not at all. And it slows down from there. Intermediate, maybe years 2, 3, you're looking at maybe 4.5, 5.5 kilograms or 10, 12 pounds per year. That's close to 0.4, 0.5 kilograms or about 1 pound per month. Total weight gain target, maybe 0.5, 1% per month. And for advanced lifters, 4+ years in, it gets really slow. Maybe 2, 3 kilograms, 4 to 6 pounds per year or even less. That's under half a pound of muscle per month. Very conservative weight gain targets like 0.25, 0.5% per month.
And women generally see about half those rates.
Typically, yes, due to hormonal differences. But the principles are the same, and women can still achieve fantastic results in strength and body composition.
These decreasing rates really show that diminishing returns principle in action.
Perfectly. Fastest gains happen early on, newbie gains, when you're furthest from your genetic potential. As you get closer, it gets progressively harder and slower. That's just normal physiology.
Why is it so crucial to internalize these realistic rates?
Because unrealistic expectations are probably the #1 killer of motivation. If you think you should be gaining 5 pounds of muscle a month naturally, you'll get frustrated fast and likely quit. Or worse, you might resort to unhealthy extremes, crazy calorie surpluses that just add fat, or even thinking about PEDs. Setting realistic goals based on natural potential keeps you focused on consistent, patient effort, which is what actually works long term.
And even within those general ranges, individual results will vary quite a bit.
Massively. Genetics plays a huge role. Your ultimate potential, muscle fiber types, hormone levels, recovery ability, age is a factor. Younger folks often have higher potential, though resistance training is incredibly effective at combating age-related muscle loss. Sex, as mentioned. Training experience level is huge. And your lifestyle, diet quality, sleep quality, stress, hydration, overall health, all have a massive impact. Even starting body fat influences efficiency. Many factors contribute to your personal rate of progress.
Which reinforces the idea of focusing on your own journey, not comparing constantly.
Exactly. Your progress is yours. Compare yourself today to yourself last month or last year. That's the only comparison that matters.
Okay, let's talk common pitfalls. What misconceptions or mistakes do beginners often make when trying lean mass up, especially now with social media everywhere?
Oh, plenty of traps to fall into. Misconception 1, thinking lean mass up is a fast track to looking ripped.
When we know it's the opposite, slow and steady.
Right. Reality. It's patient, deliberate work, consistent effort over months, years. Some even argue true beginners should first focus just on building habits and maintaining composition before aggressively pursuing a surplus.
Misconception 2.
Believing that just adding any extra calories automatically equals lean muscle. Reality. Calories are needed, yes, but quality matters more. Nutrient timing, macro balance, the right training stimulus, enough rest, they're all crucial. Junk calories often just become junk weight.
What if someone's doing things right, looks better, feels stronger, but the scale isn't really moving up much? Failure.
That's misconception 3. Thinking scale weight is the only measure of success. Especially for lean mass up or beginners. You can build muscle and lose fat simultaneously. Muscle is dense. Your weight might stall or even dip slightly while you're visibly getting leaner and more muscular. Mirror, measurements, photos, performance, often better indicators.
Any magic bullet myths? Secret exercises or supplements?
Misconception 4. Searching for that one secret exercise or magic pill. Reality. No secrets. Success comes from nailing the fundamentals consistently. Progressive overload, compound lifts, sufficient protein from whole foods, good sleep, supplements or specific exercises are tools, maybe 5% of the equation, not the foundation.
And the cardio confusion again?
Misconception 5. Believing cardio is forbidden, that it kills all gains. Reality. Appropriate cardio supports lean mass up, helps manage fat, boosts health, aids recovery. Just don't overdo it and prioritize your lifting.
What about behavioral mistakes?
Impatience is huge. Giving up because progress feels too slow. Lean mass up is a marathon. Also, lack of preparation, jumping in without solid form on lifts, without established training consistency, that 3+ month suggestion is good, can lead to frustration or injury. Don't chase numbers on the bar before you own the movement.
That brings us to a really big challenge today, the comparison trap, especially online.
It's a massive issue. Social media can inspire, sure, but it also floods us with highly curated, often unrealistic images. Seeing those perfect bodies constantly can really mess with your self-esteem, push you towards unhealthy extremes.
Because it's not always real or the full story.
Exactly. So much is editing, lighting, angles. And crucially, many online physiques are built with performance-enhancing drugs, PEDs, often undisclosed. This creates a completely false standard of what's achievable naturally.
Natural lifters just operate under different rules, different limits.
Vastly different. You have physiological ceilings on growth rate and total muscle mass that PED users blow past. Trying to match enhanced physiques naturally is setting yourself up for disappointment or dangerous choices. Reaching very high levels of lean mass, like an FFMI over 25-26 for men, is generally impossible naturally.
The takeaway message seems clear. Run your own race.
That is the absolute key for sustainable progress and mental health. Don't compare your Chapter 1 to someone else's Chapter 20, especially if their story involves undisclosed help. Focus on your improvements. Did you lift a bit more today? Did you stick to your plan better this week? That's winning. Be critical of media. Recognize the filters and potential enhancements, and set your own realistic, healthy goals.
So when you boil it all down, succeeding with lean mass up seems to depend heavily on cultivating the right mindset.
It really does. The mindset might be just as important as the macros or the workout plan. Patience is number one. Muscle growth is slow. Accept it. Embrace it. Don't get thrown off by small bumps or slow weeks. Keep your eyes on the long-term prize, and that leads directly to consistency. It's the boring, unsexy, but single most powerful factor. Showing up for workouts week after week, making good food choices meal after meal, prioritizing sleep night after night, sustained over months and years. That's the bedrock.
It's about building those habits and sticking to them, even when motivation dips.
Exactly. That consistent application of the principles, even imperfectly, is what builds the results over time. That's the winning mindset for lean mass up. Consider how the principles of nutrient partitioning and insulin sensitivity, crucial for directing calories towards muscle during your lean mass up journey, might continue to influence your body's response to food and exercise, even after you reach your initial muscle growth goals, requiring ongoing awareness and adaptation throughout your fitness life.